Namaskar, welcome all participants of the NNRMS sponsored course for university teachers and government officers. Today we have a session on digital image processing, the basic concepts. After you have seen the sessions on digital image processing, after you have seen the sessions on remote sensing and visual image interpretation. So it is the turn for digital image processing, the first basic concepts. The outline of the presentation would be we would be discussing about digital image, what is digital image processing, and then we will look into the first component of image processing, which is image pre-processing, basically radiometric and geometric error correction. So to start with, first digital image, in fact we should first discuss image. What is an image? And even before we discuss what is image, why should we study about images? All of you must have heard of this famous English adage, a picture is worth 1,000 words, right? Which basically conveys that sometimes the multiple ideas or the complex ideas can be derived from a single still image, right, which conveys its meaning or more effectively, more than simply describing that picture in terms of words. We know that pictures convey precise information about the positions, about the size, about the interrelationship between objects. And human beings, they are very good at interpreting information or deriving information from the objects based on their inner capabilities, based on their experience, visual and mental abilities. So, in our context, this is general image, that if I look at image, I immediately draw some information about that image, some text and information goes in my mind, right? But in present context, we are talking about remote sensing images, the images which have been captured by the sensors on board the satellites which are orbiting around the earth. So we are this session of image processing or pictures would be focused only on the remote sensing data, where we have, as you know, must have been discussed earlier, that it is an overhead perspective, right? So now coming to what is an image. Image is basically a pictorial representation of an object, a scene, or even a phenomena, right? And there are two forms of images: analog images and digital images. Now the pictures that I have depicted here, like for example the painting of Mona Lisa, the photograph of a girl child, and a satellite image. So these are basically pictorial representations of some objects or scenes or phenomena, right? Analog images are those images, if you remember our old camera systems where we used to take the picture on a film and develop that negative to a positive paper, those were the analog images. And what was analog quantity in them? Analog basically means, if you see the difference in physics, the analog is a continuously varying quantity and digital is a quantity which varies discretely in steps. So analog images were those images where we represent a continuously varying quantity called as intensity, right? Like for example, if I talk about this photograph of this girl child, the objects which are reflecting more energy are brighter intensity. Object like here which are reflecting less energy are darker. Okay? So in the same concept goes in our digital images also, that objects are reflecting some energy. Now instead of depicting them as brightness, they are captured as a discretely varying quantity. Now why I have put this satellite image also here? This is the visual representation of the satellite image captured in digital mode. So for that, we should first see what is a digital image. A digital image is captured or is produced by electro-optical sensors as compared to the analog images which were produced by the photographic sensors on a lens camera system. Now an image, like for example a hypothetical image is shown here, a very small hypothetical image, digital image, 5 rows and 5 columns. right? So a digital image is composed of this tiny equal areas. If you see, these are the tiny equal areas, and these tiny equal areas are abbreviated as pixels. They are basically picture elements abbreviated as pixels or pels, and they are arranged in a rectangular matrix, in a rectangular array, that means in rows and columns. Now, if had this been an empty grid, right, then this was the structure of a digital image. Now with each pixel or pel or picture element, as you can see, this is associated with a number. There is a number written in each of the box, and this number is called as or abbreviated as a digital number DN, or brightness value BV, or gray level GL, right? So which is basically a record of variation in intensity, intensity in digital form, in discrete form. Now this intensity, if when we are talking about optical remote sensing, this is reflected energy from the earth. If we are talking about thermal, this number corresponds to the emitted energy. And microwave, it is the backscattered form of energy. Those things, concepts will be later. So this, our discussion will be primarily focusing to the reflected energy in optical remote sensing. So now concept, like we said in this analog image, object reflecting more energy will be brighter on an analog image, and object reflecting less energy will be darker. Here it is similar. Object reflecting more energy will have a higher DN value, and object reflecting less energy will be a smaller DN value. Now the size of this pixel or pel, it is related to size on ground, right? And it is related to the spatial resolution of the sensor, right? How small an area which is captured by the sensor. The range of the values, they depend upon the radiometric resolution of the sensor. Now if the radiometric resolution is 8-bit, for example, the values will be between 0 to 255. 0 will be for the objects which do not reflect any energy at all, and when you see the visual representation, they will be the darkest, that is black object. And 255, 8-bit radiometric resolution means 2 to the power 8. So that means 256 different levels ranging from 0 to 255. So 255 will be the objects reflecting total energy. So that means the brightest objects in the scene, and they will be appearing white if you display the visual representation of that satellite image. So in the previous slide, I have the satellite image, false color composite. I think false color composites must have been discussed yesterday. So false color composite, which is a visual representation of different objects of the scene. Objects which are reflecting less energy have a small number, and they will be having a lower color palette. If you see, the color palettes also must have been discussed yesterday. So this is the structure of a simple hypothetical digital image. Now important thing to notice that the origin of this digital image is at top left corner, and the scan lines, they are the rows are the scan lines which are captured along with the motion of the satellite, and the columns are called as pixels, which are the number of detectors in a line on the CCD array. So one line is captured, that means it has number of pixels, and the satellite moves forward, captures the next line, and then the next line, and the next. So the rows are called as scan lines and the columns are called as pixels. Now this is the single band image. You know, remote sensing data is multispectral in nature. That means for the same area, it is captured in many different spectral ranges, and these spectral ranges then they are denoted by a number simply, for example, called as band 1, band 2, band 3, band 4. So for example, the image which I have displayed here is the image from IRIS 1B LIS2 sensor, and which has which captures data in 4 different spectral ranges. That means from 0.4 to 0.52 micrometers, 0.52 to 0.59, 0.62 to 0.68, and the infrared is 0.77 to 0.86. So 4 different spectral ranges abbreviated or denoted as band 1, band 2, band 3, band 4. So this is the visual representation of that multispectral image, and behind it, it is all made up of digital numbers. So I have shown the digital numbers of only a very small part of the top left corner, the DN values in different bands. So once I have different bands, I can make a number of different combinations. But you know, the standard false color composite is when I have the infrared band, red and green displayed on RGB of the monitor. Right? So this is the composite which comes out, and there is a standard interpretation key which has been developed for this. The vegetation appears in shades of red, urban areas in steel grey, water is black, and so on. Depending upon the amount of energy which is reflected by different objects in different wavelength bands. Like for example, here an example is shown for a small area with a lake and adjoining forest cover in 6 different bands. So these are the infrared bands, and these are the visible bands, red, green and blue, and the range of infrared bands. So when I want to make a false color composite, I take one of the infrared band, the red band and the green band, and this is the standard false color composite. For a true color composite, I would require the data captured in blue to be displayed on blue, the data captured in green to be displayed on green, and the data captured in red to be displayed on red. So 3 color guns of the monitor, RGB, and we display the corresponding bands on them, and then we get the true color composite. You can see the water in blue and the adjoining forest areas in green. And whereas here the water will be black because water does not reflect infrared, and so it comes in shades of very dark blue to black, depending upon the sedimentation and all, and the forest cover or the vegetation is in shades of red. So this is multispectrally remotely sensed image. Then, because it is being captured in digital numbers, a location would be referred by its column, comma row, comma band number. The column, row and band in which it lies. Right? That is how we refer to a particular pixel location, or you can say the vector of the measurement vector of a particular pixel would be its column, row and the band vector number. Now after discussing what is an image, we can discuss what is a digital image. Now if we have seen digital image is made up of numbers, right? Numbers arranged in a matrix form. So image processing, digital image processing in simple words would be computer manipulation of these digital numbers. Making some mathematics, some processing with taking help of computer and manipulating these numbers. This is in simple words digital image processing. But we are doing it for a purpose. We are doing it using our remote sensing data. So we do digital image processing for remote sensing data, for remote sensing perspective, for the purpose of correcting an image, that means removing all kind of errors from the image, enhancing the image, and extracting certain meaningful information. So we can define it as computer manipulation of digital numbers in an image for purpose of image correction, enhancement and feature extraction. Now if you are familiar with processing systems, any processing system is based around a computer hardware and a software. So our image processing, digital image processing for remote sensing perspective will consist of a computer hardware. A simple personal computer is also sufficient to process our satellite images. But we require a dedicated image processing software to analyze those remote sensing data. So the dedicated image processing software that is required should have 3 basic functionalities which are listed here. First one, removal of all kind of errors. The ones which we mentioned in our definition, that the software should allow for removal of all kind of errors. That means basically called as pre-processing, removing radiometric and geometric errors. Second is enhancement, changing the visual impact of image on the viewer. So that means enhancing the image for more visual interpretation. And third one is the information extraction or feature extraction, which basically utilizes the computer's decision making ability. That means the combinedly the software and the hardware decision making to automatically categorize pixels on basis of their signatures, how they reflect in different wavelength bands, automatically extract information. And so these are the three basic functionalities an image processing software should provide. So now the major digital image processing systems which are available, I have listed a few of them here because it's not possible to list all of them. So the major commercial softwares which are used, especially for training purpose, ADAS Imagine, Envy, Idrisi, ER Mapper, PCI Geomatica, right? The others are like Ecognition is an object-oriented image processing software. MATLAB is the mathematics laboratory, which is more on programming, writing your own source files, MATLAB codes, SEM files, and so on. So these are these commercial softwares, and if you search on the web, you will find a large number of open source softwares for image processing. Few of them I have listed here. If you search, you will get 10 best softwares for image processing and all. The first search result which normally comes, and few of them I have listed here, like for example ILWIS, which is integrated land and water information system, which was developed by the ITC Netherlands. Earlier it was a commercial software. From few years back they have declared it as open source. Then there is Optics, GRASS, OSIM, Multispec, QGIS, CVIP tools, and a large number, Skilab, and so on. A large number of softwares which are free and open source, which can be used for image processing. Plus, if you are programmers, if you are Python enthusiast, you can write your own codes for all different type of operations that you want to do in image processing used for the satellite images. Now, as I said, the image processing software should provide me three basic functionalities, and in the definition also we said we do image processing, digital image processing for satellite data for purpose of image correction, enhancement, and feature extraction. So that means these are three major components, and we will be discussing them one by one. Okay, so the first one is image pre-processing. So pre-processing, as I mentioned earlier in the text, that it should involve removal of all kind of errors. Now, why image pre-processing is needed? Now, remote sensing systems means the satellites and sensors, the sensors on board the satellites which are orbiting around the Earth. So these combinedly I am calling them remote sensing systems, the sensors on board the remote sensing satellites which are orbiting around the Earth. They function perfectly when they are launched, but over the period they may not function perfectly over the period. That is also a very rare chance for errors to introduce into the satellite imagery if some part of the sensor or the satellite has deteriorated or drifted from its correct or the designed path. Right? Second thing is that the Earth which we are capturing by the sensors on board the satellites, we are capturing the Earth land surface, right? So it's not only the land which is there, it is the atmosphere which also comes in between, the land and the water. They themselves are very complex objects, and we are trying to record them by remote sensing devices, by sensors which have constraints. Constraints are in terms of a certain spatial resolution, different spectral ranges, the temporal, the periodicity in which we are recording, and the quantization level, that means the radiometric resolution. So based on these both the factors, that is the sensors, satellites, and the Earth feature which we are capturing, some error may creep into our data acquisitioning systems, into our data acquisition process, and may degrade the quality of remote sensing data that is collected. I am not saying that it is always degraded. Sometimes the error creeps in into the data acquisition system, and if the error creeps in, then we should know what kind of error which has come in the image, and then how to correct it. So the most common type of errors which can creep in into our data, satellite data, are radiometric errors and geometric errors. Two kind of errors, and collectively the removing of these errors, radiometric and geometric error correction, is termed as pre-processing. And as the name indicates, pre-processing operation means they should be performed prior to meaningful information extraction. They should be performed prior to meaningful information extraction. Now, what is radiometric error? Radiometric error is, radiometric resolution was discussed earlier. Radiometry basically refers to the quantization level. That means when we have studied about the digital image, the number, the DN value, right? So when the DN value of the image of a particular location gets distorted, it is a radiometric error. What are the causes why a radiometric error may creep into your satellite data? They may creep into the satellite data due to the detector imbalance. They may creep into due to detector imbalance and due to atmospheric deficiencies. Right? And the radiometric errors, they are not very pleasant to look at. So they are also called as cosmetic corrections, because it is done to improve the visual appearance of the image. The image looks dull, hazy, striped and all. So to remove those cosmetic errors and make the image more visually appearable, so the radiometric corrections are done. Now the common radiometric errors are the periodic or the line or column dropouts, line or column stripings, random black bad pixels, partial, like we have a periodic line or column dropout, we have partial line and column dropouts, and then there could be atmospheric errors which may creep into your remote sensing data. So let's see these errors one by one and their correction mechanism. Now line dropout, as the name suggests, line is dropped out. When a detector fails to record the data, the entire line of data, no value is recorded, so that means no value is recorded, no value is a zero value, right? So that becomes a line dropout if it's horizontal, and if the this would come in the sensors like Landsat, where you have whisk broom type of scanning, and if you have the push broom sensors, where if one detector fails, it would be a column dropout, right? So this dropout could be, as I said, it could be complete line dropout or partial line dropout, right? Now what are the reasons why this dropout could occur? That means when the satellite was recording, one of the detector may fail, right? So then it becomes a periodic line dropout or column dropout. Or also during the transmission of the data from the satellite onboard recorder to the ground station, if there is a loss in the signal, it may result in the partial line dropout. Now how to correct it? So first is, it should be an automated procedure to correct it. So first thing is to identify whether there is a periodic line dropout or a partial line dropout, or first of all whether there is any line dropout. So how to check whether there is any line dropout? Automatic procedure. So what is done, for the entire image, average is calculated, average of the DN values of the entire image is calculated, and then average of each line is computed. An average of each line which is near to 0 itself indicates there is a dropout, right? So that is one first major step of detecting a periodic line dropout. That means an average of a line, that means which is captured by one detector, if it is average is near to the 0, it may be a case of line dropout. So the automatic algorithm would detect lines with average of 0, and then how to correct it. Now, a line which has been dropped, that means which has not been recorded, there is no way you can record it again in the same scene. So, it is only the correction which can be applied. So, correction methods are that the dropped line, which is a black line, can be replaced by either the preceding line, the detector which was before it, it has captured the complete line and you replace it with that, or the succeeding line, or the average of the two. So these are the different options which are available. Replace the line with the preceding line, with the succeeding line, with the average of the two, or replace the line with the most correlated band, because it's possible that only one detector in one of the band fails, and that for the same line in the other bands the detector has not failed. So the data is there. So from the most correlated band the data is replaced. So whatever I have spoken now, it is all summarized here. So I will need not read out all the correction methods. I have already spoken these things. Replace the corrections for the missing lines. Now this was line dropout, where a complete line is dropped, detector does not record, so it's 0. That means black. The other type of error which is there, which may occur into the image, is line striping or banding pattern. Banding or detector striping is basically when one of the detectors does not fail to record, but its response, it is calibrated to give a particular reading, and its response drifts towards either a higher value or a lower value. So which causes a periodic banding pattern. Like for example, this particular detector, it is giving a very high reflectance. That means it's seen as white. So that means 255, a total bright light it is giving. So its response has shifted to the higher end. So there may be chance where the response goes to the lower end. So which causes the banding pattern, and you can see that it is a cosmetic defect. It interferes with the visual interpretation of these different objects. So again, it can be horizontal striping or vertical striping, right? Like here, horizontal in these two and vertical here, and you can see this is a de-striped image. So now how to correct for a detector whose response has been deteriorated or is in time? To the correction is done using the linear relationship between a faulty detector and a correct detector. So we see that the response of not all detectors will go bad. If one of the detector has drifted over time, there will be one standard detector, which is a reference detector, which is giving perfect response. So the relationship between the faulty detector and the reference detector, they are termed as now linear, the input and the output, and the response of the faulty detector is mapped to the response of the correct detector using a linear Sensill model, using a gain and offset of each detector, and the correction is done. So these were the line striping, line banding. I also mentioned random errors. Random errors where you have random black and white spots which come into the image, which are removed by in the filtering, which we will see in the enhancement. Now third category of errors which come into the satellite images are atmospheric errors. Atmospheric induced errors. The first one being haze. Now what is haze is the scattered light, that means light which was supposed to come and fall on an object, it gets scatters due to different atmospheric constituents, and it reaches the sensor before in fact even reaching the ground. Like for example here, the light, it comes because of the atmospheric constituents, it gets scattered and it reaches the sensor. This is an additive effect and it is called as haze. It reduces the contrast in the image. I would be showing you subsequent slide to show you the effect of haze on a satellite image. Skylight. After the scattered light which has reached the sensor, the scattered light which reached the sensor, after it has been reflected from the earth's surface. That means it came and it reached the earth's surface and then it got scattered. this light came, light came and reached the target object, it was reflected and then scattered. So that component which reaches the sensor is also an atmospheric error, which is basically a multiplicative effect. It also reduces contrast. Then the seasonal effect which is there on the imagery, which is called as sun angle. It is also a multiplicative effect which is there on the satellite imagery. So we have the what is estimated or what is expected is that the energy is coming and reaching the target pixel, and it is reflected and it is captured by the sensor. Very clear direct requirement. But it doesn't happen so. We get number of atmospheric errors, that is due to the haze or due to the skylight, different path illumination and all, are the DN value, the radiometry gets distorted. Now how to correct it? Now this was what I was mentioning. The haze is an additive effect. If you see this phenomena we normally observe also when we go to a hill station and we try with our camera to picture a very picturesque landscape, and when we see the image it is all dull and hazy, though we see very clear. So it is because the lower wavelengths, as you know, are scattered, right? So there are images with haze, the scattered lights, and after the image has been dehazed, so then the objects are very clearly interpretable. So haze is an additive effect. The haze value adds itself to the DN value, reduces the contrast. Since it's an additive effect, it is very easy to remove the additive effects, right? So if it's an additive effect, we can do some subtraction to remove it. So we will see how. So again, another example of an image of a photograph with this was an image, this is a photograph from with haze and without haze. Okay, so the haze correction, as I was mentioning, since it is additive effect, so we can do a subtraction to remove the haze. So this correction method is called as either a dark object subtraction or a histogram minimum method. We know that infrared band, or we know that the visible bands are affected by haze, by scattering, and the infrared bands have less effect of scattering as compared to your visual bands, right? So what we do is, in the image we identify certain objects like clear water or some shadows where there is totally no reflectance or zero reflectance in the infrared band, and we assume that the DN value at that shorter wavelength is due to the haze, and this value we subtract from all the DN values from that particular band, removing the DN value. In other words, we can also assume that the smallest DN value in the image is assumed to be haze component, and it is subtracted from all DN values. It's called as histogram minimum method. And after we do this, we get a dehazed image or a image without haze. So this is first haze removal. Then sun angle correction, as we were saying, once the image data which is captured, if it is acquired in the different solar illumination conditions, then it needs to be normalized. We know that position of sun is changing depending upon the time of the day of the year, right? And that means we know that the solar elevation angle, the angle of sun above the earth, is time and location dependent. From where are you seeing and what is the time, right? So image data is being captured by the satellite in different solar illumination angles. And when you are doing if you have multiple data sets, if you have 2 data sets and you need to do mosaicing, if you have data sets where you want to do change detection and they have been captured in different solar conditions, in different solar illumination conditions, then they need to be normalized to a constant solar position. And the best position would be as if the sun is directly overhead. The best position would be as if the satellite captures data when the sun is directly over. So that means called as the solar zenith angle, right? So that is the sun solar elevation sun angle correction that needs to be done on image. Like for example, here two images are being shown. The two images are captured with different solar elevation angles, and we needed to do, if this was our combined study area, we need a mosaic. And if I make a mosaic, the radiometry of the two is totally different. Objects are not, if I'm doing automatic categorization, they will go into different categories. So I need to normalize both the images to a common solar position, that assuming that sun was at zenith. So this is done by dividing each pixel value in the scene by the solar elevation angle. The sign divide the dn value by the sign of the solar elevation angle for the particular time of the imaging. So if I do that, divide this dn value by its own solar sign of solar elevation, divide this by its own solar elevation, and then we can mosaic the two images. Right. So with this we have seen what is a digital image. We have seen what is a digital image processing. We have seen what is basic concept of pre-processing, and we have seen the first component, that is radiometric error correction. So we have seen the radiometric errors and correction. Now let us see some of the geometric errors and their corrections. Now we have seen that for a digital image, it is composed of tiny equal areas, right? The value is the radiometric. So if the dn value gets distorted, it was the radiometric error. Now when the shape of this pixel, the location of this pixel, it gets distorted, it is a geometric error. And removing this geometric error, the you can say the shape of the pixel or the size and all, etc. So the transformation of an image so that it has a scale and projection is also called geometric error correction. So basically we know that image is made up of numbers. So this number, putting it in its correct information, in its correct location, that is geometric error correction. Right? Now why geometric errors creep into the image? A large number of reasons. Right? The earth sensor and earth geometry variations, the altitude of the sensor, attitude of the sensor, that means rho, pitch, yaw. If we are using a whisk broom sensor, the velocity of the mirror, the satellite velocity, number of different reasons for which the geometric errors or geometric distortions creep into the image. It is not possible to model each and every the geometric error individually and correct it, but there is a very simple method which is available, that is the transformation of an image, right, to a particular map projection, to a particular scale, which will remove most of the geometric errors in the imagery. Like now, first, for example, one type of geometric difference which comes into the satellite image is due to the earth rotation. Right? We know that the satellite is going from north to south when it is capturing data in an orbit. That means it's collecting data in a fixed orbit called path, and as it goes from north to south. So once it goes from north to south, it captures one line of data. After it captures, it goes to the next line of data. Like for example, here the earth beneath it has rotated some distance. Right? So this causes the data to be skewed to the west. Right? So by earth rotates on its axis from west to east, so that it skews the geometry of the image that is being collected. Right? So the dashed line, it shows that this is how the image appears to be, like here, right? Line after line after line, the satellite keeps on moving, and the sensors on board that linear array keeps on recording the data. So it is this way the data is being captured. But each line should have been offsetted to the west because the earth has rotated underneath. So this corrected the solid line which indicates the restored image, each line is offset to the west, or for example the entire strip here. This is the one of the geometric error correction. So what could be other differences in geometry? If I have to correct simple geometric errors, geometry between the image and the location on the earth, what could be differences in geometry? Suppose if I take a topo sheet and I want to overlay my satellite image over it. Here you see it is very simple. It would appear that I have taken a topo sheet, I have taken a hard copy and I have overlaid it over it. It was easier for me to do it because I matched certain features and I overlaid it, right? But when I am doing digitally, first I should know what are the differences in geometry between my satellite image and the topo sheet. First one is in terms of origin. The origin of the image and origin of the topo sheet may not match. So the image has to be translated. It is image which has to be shifted to match the origin of you can say match the objects. Yeah. So it has to be shifted. Origins do not match. Second one is scaling. The image, depending upon its resolution and the scale of the map, image has to be either compressed to fit over the topo sheet, or image has to be expanded to fit over the topo sheet. Third one is rotation. The image may not lie rectangularly, the image may be belonging to this area. So that means image has to be rotated by a certain angle, right? And fourth one is shear or skew, which we have just discussed, that is the shifting of each line to the west due to the earth rotation. So these are basically 4 differences in geometry which should be removed to map, or you can say to overlay my image over a topo sheet, or to accurately correlate the location of the image pixel on the ground with help of a GPS or something. So now this procedure to transform geometry of image to geometry of a map is called as rectification. The process is called as rectification. Excuse me. So we can say that it is a process of geometrically correcting an image. So my image can overlay over any other image, or it can be overlaid over a map. Now why do I need to do it? I need to do it when I need to use my image as image map. Why do I use a map? I use a map to make accurate area, distance, direction measurements. So whenever I want to use my image as image map, that means I want to make accurate area, distance, direction measurements. I need to rectify my image, or I need to transform the geometry of image to the geometry of the map. So now these are 2 grid systems. One is image, one is a map. So I need to transform this grid system into this. So grid transformation is needed, and this is done by mathematical transformation. This is done by transforming one grid to another by using a mathematical equations between the two and fitting a relationship between the two. So this rectification procedure basically can be said as a 2-step process. It can be basically a 2-step process. First one could be called as polynomial transformation or geometric transformation, alright, coefficients computation, where what is done is the image which is there and a map is there. That means an image and a reference, right? So we identify certain points in both of them called as ground control points, and we fit mathematical equations between those points, the known points on the image and the known points on the map or ground using GPS, and we fit a mathematical equation or a polynomial equation using least square technique. So this way we fit, and this is the schematic, we fit an empty grid over the reference there. And then my original image was filled with digital numbers. It was an image. That means location as well as number. In the first step, we have only established a mathematical link where a particular pixel in the image would lie on the map and vice versa. Then we fill in the output rectified image with DN values, and this is called as the second step. This is the second step, filling in DN values in the rectified grid. Overlaid, rectified, and now the rectified grid is filled with the DN values using a resampling method. So this is my rectified image. Right. So now the points which are known between a image and the reference location, these are called as ground control points. So they are basically points which can be very clearly identified on both sets of data. That means on the image as well as on the earth. That means if you take a GPS and go to a particular location, you should be able to identify that object. So a ground control point is a very well identifiable location on both the image as well as on the ground. And then we can say it will have two set of coordinates. One is source coordinates, which is image. Image coordinates are in terms of rows and columns. And reference coordinates, which are in terms of latitude, longitudes, or northing, eastings in a particular projection. Right. So the transformation accuracy will depend upon the accuracy of my collected ground control points. Now if I have a very high resolution imagery where objects like road intersections are clearly visible, airport runways, corners of buildings, corners of towers, very well identified geometrical points, then these points serve as best location for the ground control points. But if you have a low resolution, a medium resolution, or a small scale, you can say imagery, then you have to take features like larger features like urban areas or some geological features. In those cases, we have to be very careful, the point which I have written here, that we should not take those features which vary over time. Like for example, water bodies. Depending upon the season, the water bodies may expand or may shrink. So if I am taking the corner of the water body, until unless there is some constructed bund or a point around it, it should not be used. Then there is sufficiently large number of ground control points should be used, which basically depends upon the type of transformation or the equation which is being used. So the equation that is being used is called as polynomial equation, and the order of the polynomial is the degree of complexity will relate to the order of the polynomial, right? And depending upon the distortions in the imagery, I can use a simple first order polynomial, or if my image is highly distorted, I can use a second order or third order polynomial. So as I said, a simple first order polynomial, I will not confuse you with some mathematics. This is simple mathematical equation. Order means the highest exponent here of variables x and y is 1. So this is my source image which I am rectifying. That means converting my source coordinates to the ground coordinates. So this first order transformation is sufficient to do all my 4 changes in geometry which we discussed earlier. That means translation, scaling, rotation and skewness. So all 4 can be addressed by the first order transformation. Right. So I don't want to confuse you with some mathematics. So this is the equation. Now if I give ground control points, so to solve this equation I require a minimum of 3 ground control points. So simply solve this equation. But to check the accuracy, that means how good are those points fitting in the entire image, I should take more than the minimum. So that means if 3 is the minimum requirement, I should take at least the 4th ground control point to check the accuracy of the transformation. So we use 4 ground control points and compute the constants and apply the rectification and check the accuracy. That means accuracy is checked using the root mean square error. So if the root mean square error is within the limit, that means I can apply this transformation to the entire set of the imagery. Right. So how much is the amount of error which is acceptable? Normally an RMS error of less than 1 per ground control point and an average RMS error or a total RMS error of less than 0.5 is acceptable. So for example, I have taken a table here where in a particular image I have taken 4 ground control points, and my RMS error per ground control point is also less than 1, and obviously the total RMS error would be less than 0.5. So with this I calculate the equations of rectifying an image to a map, that means a particular pixel where it lies on the map, and vice versa where a map pixel would have lied on the image. So then the second step is filling in DN values in this rectified image using a method called as resampling method. So there are 3 resampling methods, and why we need to do it, because when I am rectifying, if you remember the original image where I shown you a dashed image and a solid line image, so one was rectified image and one was the raw image, so the two will not match one to one. The 1 hour duration is not sufficient to discuss each and every mathematics, so I have tried to give you major concepts only of the geometric errors and the resampling methods. So cubic convolution uses the weighted average of 16 nearest pixels, so the output would be even much smoother than the bilinear interpolation. Disadvantage would be similar, that it is a computed value and it's not the raw value from the file, it's a computed value. So these are the 3 different resampling techniques, and this is generally how you would be doing it on the image. The satellite image, take the corresponding topo sheet or go to the ground with a GPS receiver. So identify the ground control point on the image and on the map, and do it for minimum 4 locations. Compute the equations, the order of transformation. So check the RMS error. If the RMS error is acceptable, do the resampling, and if this was my original image, this is my rectified image with coordinates associated with each pixel. So this is the first component of digital image processing, which was image pre-processing. We have seen geometric error correction, and now we have seen geometric error correction as well as rectification. That means transforming the geometry of the image to a north-south oriented map. So this is the first session on digital image processing basic concepts.